All right, everyone. Welcome to our official last Zoom for Eclipse Megamovie on Monday, March 25th. We have lots of people on, and I especially want to give a warm welcome to the newest star members who only joined in the last week or so. So welcome. We want to orient you to some of the things around the Zoom that we're using. We have the chat open, of course, but that is best for informal discussions. So I want to make sure everyone knows about the Q&A section. So if you click on the very bottom of your Zoom, there's a part that's Q&A, and you can post a question there, and any one of the staff or hosts can answer that, and this will be documented. We are also rolling this all over into the frequently asked questions section of the website, the FAQ, which Hannah is diligently updating. And this Zoom recording will also be posted onto our YouTube channel with the other trainings and recordings. We just finished our office hours an hour previously, and that recording will also be made available. I want to make sure people know about this. And then I will pass it over to Laura to take it away.
Okay. Okay, great. So welcome. We have 2 weeks. Are you all ready? Everyone has their trip planned and your packing list. Well, we're going to work on packing lists today. So that's one of our activities we'll do. We have on our team several of us who are going to different types of places. So we thought we would spend a little bit of time thinking about what you'll need if you're in a rural camping environment, or if you're in the middle of a city, a large city, or if you're in Mexico, really.
Laura, there's your t-shirt.
Oh my gosh, there it is. Holy Eclipse.
Batman.
Batman.
Well, if it would go in focus.
Holy Eclipse, Batman. You have your blur the background, unfortunately. You have to turn off your blur in the background.
Yeah, I can do that.
Holy Eclipse. Holy Eclipse.
Holy Eclipse.
Well, look at Spencer's shirt while Laura talks. I love it.
That's enough.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Spencer. Apparently, I said that a couple Zooms ago. We're going to see the whole eclipse. Great. So the other thing, Hannah, I'm so glad you showed folks the survey. I think we should do that again and have it recorded, because it really helps for people to understand the end. You know, what are you all going to be asked to tell us when you upload your data? I think it helps focus on what we are asking for. Note also that even if some of you aren't doing the entire scientifically kind of our science engineering requirements, I guess you would call them. So there's some folks who are taking pictures without mounts and just taking other types of pictures. You will be able to upload through our upload portal. So we might have a couple people. We haven't tested it yet with outside team members yet, so we might be asking a couple of you to be doing that. All right, so I think what we should start with actually is that. So Hannah, would you mind I know some of you were here already for that, but they're new folks too. So do you want to kind of take people through those questions again? Just so essentially, sure. The day of the eclipse, we'll have a survey open for uploading your images. That will get you to the upload, rather. And so Hannah's going to show you the survey. Then an email will be sent to you, and then 3 emails, in fact. 1 email for your for the pictures, the photos, 1 for the darks, and 1 for the flats. And I think that 1 for the bias as well. All right.
I think I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quick, just to visit this, We let you know upfront specifically what we are looking for, what kind of information we are looking for from the survey. And as such, the first question that we ask you is, do you have all the information that you need to complete the survey? We ask that when you do fill the survey out, you're not going to want to fill it out a second or a third time with more information that you get later. We really would like you to have all of your information here ready to go in one survey. And I will just answer them really quickly based on like my information. So I will be in Indianapolis. I have a Canon for the camera make. Next question is, what is your camera's model? My camera, for example, is an R8. Focal length. This is important for various reasons. My lens will be 300 millimeters. We talked a lot about this actually in the last meeting, Laura. We talked about the diameter of the lens. We may rephrase it to ask, what is the diameter of your filter? Because that is a better measurement, potentially.
Yeah, Jeffrey had some things to say about that, but I think he was around for that discussion.
Oh, okay. So then great. We asked about the camera's sensor size. We asked for your geographic latitude and longitude, and we will, I will edit the language to specify in decimal point. Here's longitude. And then we ask, are your photographs accurately time-stamped to within a second and in local time? Local time meaning the time where you took your photographs. So if I am in California taking photographs, right now it would be 5:10 p.m. But if I were on the East Coast taking photographs, it would be 8:10 p.m. And so it should be stamped based on that time. We asked, what was the ambient temperature near your camera at the time of totality? We asked if you took flats or not. We hope that you did. We hope that you do. And then we ask you to describe the process that you used to take flats. And we understand that there are a few different ways to do this, to take the flats. So we just ask you to very quickly summarize how you did it. And we're not looking for a very detailed essay, just something to give us an idea of how you did it. And you'll see the same thing for darks. Describe the process, same thing. Did you experience any issues while taking your photographs that we should know about? One issue, for example, would be cloudy skies, unexpected weather. Maybe it started raining. Maybe a leaf fell onto your lens and got a little speck of dirt on there. It would be really good to know about that. The type of picture that you are uploading, we do prefer the raw images, but some people may be uploading JPEGs, PNGs, or other formats. We asked if you were able to use the f/8 aperture value, which is what we really ideally would like. Same question for the ISO, but we understand that not everybody will do ISO 100, and that's fine. We asked then, what were you able to do instead? Some people I think are choosing to do 200, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing for shutter speeds or exposure times. We know that not everyone is doing exactly the same set of exposures that we list in the gold standard. They're adjusting one or two things that we've talked about it. It's all good. So you can say no. And then what did you do instead? In terms of following the sun's motion, this is basically asking, did you use an equatorial mount or not? And it's really just so that we can categorize your data. What did you do instead? I held it. How did you take your photographs? Mobile phone, telescope. Thanks to our volunteers from the previous meeting, we realized that there is not yet an option for the STAR method, but we will fix that. And then we get here where in order to submit your photographs, you must acknowledge and agree here that your photographs will be available for public use, basically. And due to the nature of our funding, basically, that's the reason that we have to, insist on this. So yes, I agree, I understand. We'll ask you what your name on the project should look like when we recognize you, either to give you credit or recognize you as a participant in the project. And so you can just put your name, however you'd like to spell it. You can use a call name instead. and then an email address for the receipts that Laura was talking about. And you're done.
Great, thank you so much, Hannah. Yeah, so then what will happen is when this is over, and Troy, you can correct, I think maybe you can tell us what happens after that. I think then an email gets sent. Is that correct, Troy?
Yes, hold on 1 second.
Mhm.
So after you fill out the survey, you'll receive 4 emails, one for each respective type, your flats, darks, lights, and the other one. And it will be essentially just a link to its SharePoint. It's essentially like a Dropbox. You will just drag and drop your images into there. And you will do it each email will have its respective link for its respective images. And then once you've uploaded them, that's pretty much it. And I don't know if you mentioned this, Hannah, but this has to be done per camera. So if you take images with multiple cameras, the survey will have to be filled out multiple times.
That's really good to know. Thank you, Troy. We'll write out instructions too, and we'll get those posted. You guys should see my post-it note situation. Actually, I just all my notes.
Yeah, and a version of the instructions are in the latest photography guide. So this survey is in there at the very almost very end before the sequences. Okay, great. All right, so the next thing is we are going to, like I said, make this our checklist, but I thought in doing so I'm wondering, Hannah, did you start a checklist yet in a Google Doc or something that
Not
we
in a Google Doc, but I can do that right now.
do in real time, maybe? So
Yeah,
what we're
totally.
thinking is we're going to tell you our checklist of what we're going to bring, meaning Hannah, myself, and Darlene. But I wanted to start that process by showing. I'm here with my brother-in-law, actually, and he's one of our volunteers, and he has a setup that I wanted to show everybody. So then I thought we could, once we get through our checklist, then we can do not only questions and answers, but we can do a show and tell. So this is to get you all thinking about if you want to do some show and tell yourself. Because of course, in thinking about the checklist, when we see other people's equipment setups, like everyone's so different. So I think if we see more setups, then it will help more of us. So I will start you thinking about that by showing you Patrice's setup here in his office. And so, but Patrice, you're going to have to say words that I don't know. So
it's pretty basic, no problem.
Okay, so who's Dar, are you doing, or Hannah, who's doing the swap of the pin? I see you pinned me here.
Yes, I did.
Can you pin my other account?
Ooh,
Do you see that? I'm in there somewhere. I'm another participant. The audio's off, but I have my video on here that I want to share.
Do you want me to move Laura, or
No, hold on. I just want to change the camera.
you can also grab the it's on top over there. If you want to just move that, you can do that.
so Laura, I found your other one, but it's just your screensaver right now.
It is.
And I can only pin one at a time.
Okay. How about now? Can you
Mhm.
see me now? No?
No,
Oh, I see. I see. Ah,
oh, there you are.
oh,
Well done.
I was getting confused. Okay, so I think I can turn around.
And just hold that camera steady so people don't get sick.
Oh, thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, are you gonna pin it though?
Oh, you're pinned. You're good. We see ya.
No, but it's the other one's pinned.
Let's see. Yes, I have you pinned.
There we go. You depinned me.
All right, you want me to say something? Can you hear me?
Can you hear Patrice, and can you see the
Yes.
setup?
Okay,
Yes.
we're good. I got it.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. No pressure. I'm a complete amateur. And this is the second Eclipse with the Megamovie team. So very simply here, I have a Skywatcher Solar Quest. I decided to.
Ah, I'm sorry, Laura, unmute. I thought I was helping. Thank you.
So again, the setup is a Skywatcher solar tracker. So I'm sorry, this is the Solar Quest, and I have a Canon R6 Mark II. It's a full frame mirrorless, coupled with a 500mm telephoto, and the solar filter is kind of a jerry-rigged Orion solar filter that actually I reversed the little screws, and it fits perfectly here on top. And that's it. That's the setup. So
What about Nina?
yes, you're right. There's Nina.
He got Nina to work.
I got Nina confused with but
My
so-
sister's name is Nina.
yeah. So I decided to. I mean, originally I was going to go manually because Nina wasn't working for me, and I realized that there was a conflict between me trying to take photo before totality and during the transition manually, and then when I was going into the Nina sequence, Nina would crash. So I stopped doing that. This camera is dedicated to Megamovie, and I'm only running the sequence. There's nothing else connected. I don't have any. I'm not taking photos of anything else. Switching between setup because that seems to interfere with the proper functioning of Nina. So I tried repeatedly. If Nina is loaded fresh and set up to start at the time, I'm planning to probably go like 1 or 2 seconds after planned totality, and then Nina will start the sequence, and there's enough time to run it twice. And I'm not doing anything with that. And I have a second camera to have fun with. That's the setup.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Patrice. Okay, I don't want to join video on that one. So, okay.
Okay, I took off the spotlight.
Yeah, now we can I think thank you very much. So you saw one setup and heard some comments about the problems with Nina in terms of now Patrice could, if he wanted to be distracted during the partials, you could take pictures without Nina with the partials, then plug in your laptop.
Yes, as long as I reset everything, basically, you're right.
Yeah.
The camera did freeze up with me on a couple times, but as long as I load a fresh sequence in Nina, that seems to be okay. So I could do that, but it takes definitely a few seconds to do that.
Right, and it's distracting. So yeah.
And you want to also enjoy a little bit the Eclipse.
Yes. Yes, our primary thing, well, yes, we want you all to enjoy the eclipse. So this should not be science despite enjoyment. This should be enjoyment and science and engineering. Okay.
There are 2 Lauras.
There are 2 Lauras, but this Laura's now done. So I'm leaving this Laura.
Bye, Laura.
Bye.
All right, Laura, you want me to go next?
Yeah, you should go next.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so I think I've mentioned I will be on the beach in Mazatlan. And so I have my luggage here. And this is where my caveat is that I am not a photographer. I was handed the Edeon DSLR and a tripod, and Jeffrey uploaded Nina and all the sequences for me. So all I need to do is plug in things correctly, hopefully press the buttons correctly. Hopefully, I am not changing anything. If I take any other photos, they'll be with my own phone, and that's it. So all right, what do I have? I have the DSLR with multiple batteries. I keep like charging them over and over again just because I keep getting scared. And of course, I'll charge it again when I'm at the hotel. I have the 3D printed camera mount from Edeon, and I'm actually going to keep it in my luggage in this nice little shipping box because I feel like it'll be secure that way. This is where I have the 2 different power banks. So I have the power bank for the 3D printed mount that I had to put my own notes onto so I can remember what not to use. Don't use that quick charge outlet. And I'm even keeping my cables on because that's how nervous I am about having the wrong cables. But I have a very big chunky power bank for my laptop. So my laptop is supposed to last, for the length, but just in case, we got one of these for me as well. And I'll be, obsessively charging that as well and checking. Here is my baggie of my filters. So we used someone's 3D printed plan to make a great little solar filter lens cap cover. And what I did is I dremeled out the holes a little bit bigger and embedded my own little tiny neodymium magnets in there. And this is measured to fit right over the cap of the DSLR without just being held on with enough friction. And of course, I'm going to have gaffer tape or packing tape to hold it in. So that way, hopefully I don't mess with any of the focus or any of that. And I will have it with the hinge side up. So in case I will only flip it up when it's after C2, and if anything falls, it will at least protect the lens. So that's the fancy thing. And the solar filter paper bought online, and I just cut it to size and embedded it in with tiny little screws in there. I also did a little DIY white for the flats. It's just a tiny embroidery hoop with some t-shirt material, just put in there nice and tight. And I will double check that after I arrive and make sure it's not crinkled before I take my flats. What else do I have? Oh yes, I have the water bottle counterweight, which of course I'll empty before I get on the plane. And I marked the line with a Sharpie for exactly the weight of this DSLR that I'm bringing, and the hook is already made for me. And so I have to remember to empty that for the airport. I am going to be on the beach. Oh, of course, I have my tripod, which I will be practicing. And because I'm on the beach, I have this sunshade, one of those kind of like hemisphere kind of type things that you get for families with kids. So like 3 people can sit inside, and I'll kind of try to get it to orient so that way most of my equipment is shaded from the sun. But still have the DSLR out. And of course, I have a NASA bag with all the Eclipse glasses to try to hand out to folks. And I actually have some stuff from the 2017 Eclipse I'm going to bring. These are 3D printed. Within it says the Great American Eclipse, and it's a little pinhole. I can use as a pinhole projector out on the beach. And I actually have 2 of them. So this white one shows a little bit better. What's left over from 2017. Hung on to that for 7 years. And last thing, I did not fold up. Oh, I have sundry screwdrivers and extra things. This guy I did not fold up because I wanted to stretch out, but I got a lightweight backpacking little folding table. So this will be for my laptop and all the other things. And again, hopefully in the shade. My last things for packing, I need to make sure I snag one of those caution tapes, a roll of caution tape, especially in Spanish if I can get it, because I plan to try to mark out like my little couple square meters in the sand. I think packing tape is the other thing I need. And then I haven't even thought about clothes and my own personal things yet. So as far as I know, this is all I'm bringing. Everything else will be fine. And I'm taking the recommendation of a lot of folks of hand carrying everything, so not checking in luggage. I will be on 2 flights and a bus in order to get into Mazatlan, so I'm just going to keep everything very, very close to me, and I'm, making sure about safety and things like that. Luckily, I fly into Durango, but I hop straight onto a bus to Mazatlan, and they're fantastic. And then I'll be there for a few days, and then I fly out. So that is my BP list. Oh, and also for anyone else who is in Mazatlan, I've been trying to track people, but I will pull together the final little email list, and I will kind of group us together so we can talk about if we want to meet up informally, maybe Sunday evening somewhere for supper. And then I'll pull people from Discord as well. And so I'll make sure we make a little Mazatlan group. Just personal. All right, that's it for me. I will remove my spotlight. And then Hannah, is it your turn?
Don't forget duct tape.
Oh, you can do anything with the duct tape. Although I'm going to do gaffer tape because it has less of the residue. It's got the strength without the residue. So gaffer tape, gaffer tape.
And we have a question. Patrice has a question.
Well, quickly, I mean, at some point we can go back to this topic, but the focusing on the sun is actually not that obvious, and that can be hard, right? When you're facing the sun, and it's really hard to see your back screen, and it can be off by a tiny bit. So I've read different technique. I'm curious to hear what everybody's going to be doing for that to have the best possible focus. Because if you're like a hair off, it's gonna be disappointing. You'll have put all this effort and you're like slightly off, right? So, everything can be very wobbly. So I'm just curious if you've perfected the focusing on the target, which is the sun here, obviously. Whether it's the edge, whether you're focusing on the spots, and how you keep it there.
Yeah, I see he has his hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm planning to take some shots of early partials with autofocus and then get a clear shot that looks like there's going to be a lot of sunspots that we can focus on. And at that point, then tape the focal ring on the zoom lens, and then double check at least twice, or triple check, I guess, to make sure that I've got a good solid focus at 1 AU. I noticed the standard procedures, they say don't focus at infinity, focus on the sun itself. If you do your focus early on the sun with the sunspots clear, you should be able to get your best focus, and then tape it down at that point.
So Richard is absolutely correct, and in fact, because your cameras will move if you touch the focus ring, if you can tether your camera and use, for me, it's a Canon EOS utility, and you do remote live view shooting. Those of you who can do it with the app without using creative language, better, but with the cable, you don't have to use creative language. And the live view shooting will focus where you tell it to focus. So the sunspot or the edge of the sun against the blackness of the filter. And at f8, you have good latitude. And then at that point, put the tape on the focus ring, the zoom ring, and switch from AF to MF, and autofocus to whatever M is, manual. Take another picture, make sure it's still good, and then go and have an adult beverage, because you have an hour before its totality.
Okay, awesome. So I don't have as much cool stuff to share as Dar. I have my bag for camera. I have said camera and zoom lens. It's a beast. That was just a cover. So, and I have portable battery. I have laptop that I will be bringing. I'm also flying, so I'm thinking about, you know, what's going to be carry on versus what can I safely store. Nothing camera related will be stored or checked. All camera stuff will be brought as carry on. But he actually just shared with me this document that I thought I would share. It's his little checklist because he is clearly far more prepared than I am, especially today. And he's got everything in here from setting up traffic cones to chairs and umbrellas. And then I really like, you know, the emphasis with the underline and the italics. Very nice, excellent list making. Oh, a cell phone for time lapse is a great idea. And I mean, he even thought about replacing batteries in his mount. He has, you know, align the camera with the filter on. Would it be okay if we freely shared this?
Absolutely yes. And if you see my picture, I've got a roll of gaff tape that I bought off of Amazon, 1 inch, not 2 inch, specifically because it's easier to manipulate.
Mm-hmm. Like what Dar was saying with the about duct tape. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that it's basically instructions for yourself too, so that it's very easy to follow, as little thinking as possible on the day of.
Right.
Just follow instruction.
And I'm not as obsessive as Daniela about color, partially because in publications I have to be careful about using colors which are compatible with visually impaired.
Visually impaired. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. But I'm printing this list and I'm using my pen or my pencil as I cross off each item as you go, and it's in linear order.
Yeah, it sounds like printing it out and bringing it with you is the way to go. Maybe print 2 copies just to be safe.
Yeah,
maybe 3.
It's also on my computer, but
yeah,
yes,
for certain. That's the thing I'm worried about. Well, and so you know, a lot of you will be out in the boonies, you know, per se, or on a beach like Dar. I'm going to be in the middle of the Indianapolis Speedway because I'm going there for another NASA event, and so that I can talk about Eclipse Megamovie. So that is going to present a lot of challenges, you know, when you think about trying to make sure that kids running around don't knock over your equipment. How the heck am I going to manage that in a crowd of? I'm sure they'll have a photography area set up. At least I'll have access to Wi-Fi, although with how many people there will be there, who knows what the Wi-Fi will be like. Whether there will be like power banks available. If not, I have a battery just in case. But yeah, so really, you know, trying to plan for the urban area, there will be like shelter and probably a lot more people too, to be fair. But at least I won't have to travel very far. I have my hotel room, which is about a 30-minute drive from the Speedway. And so that will probably turn into something like a 2-hour drive at least on the day of the eclipse.
Hey, I'm using double coding, color coding plus other types of code because I also publish, so I know.
I like that. I also really like color coding because I have ADHD. So I can't look at a list of text without my eyes kind of glazing over. But colors help me like latch on to the thing I'm looking for. So I completely agree, Daniela. I like the notes about Eclipse Observer, you know, and Launch EO can be replaced by Launch whatever application you're using, be it Nina or right, yeah.
So this was my specific checklist, Hannah, and so you can see at the very bottom, post C4, shoot all the dogs.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I also really like the enjoy the experience. You have to remind yourself to do that because I'm certain in the moment we're going to be so worried about the photographs. All of us, it's going to be all we can think about, but we do need to just look up and really enjoy it for ourselves.
And one of the lessons I learned during the social was I couldn't hear my computer speaking to me.
So
Right.
headphones.
And so actually I have battery powered speaker, and I
Oh,
bring that with me. It's my checklist. It says set up the speaker, I think, somewhere in there.
I'm gonna be using that timer app that we used last time.
Oh, okay.
17.
Eclipse
With
timer?
my earbud, yeah, with the earbuds talking into my ear in a photography mode. He's now offering photography mode and like a general mode that has like a background noises of people, talking about being excited. But if you cut that off and go into the photography mode, it tells you exactly what to do. Very short, sweet, and to the point. So this is what I'm gonna do.
Cool. Awesome. And sounds like looks like Raphael has something.
So yeah, I'm reading the checklist and realize that some people have Skywatcher, Star Adventurer mounts. If anyone has a GTI, you need to add another item that's very important, depending on where you are on the path of totality. Right during totality, if you have your mount set up on good, sorry about that. Cecile, I apologize. Sorry, my daughter's birthday, and I wanted to spend some
Of
time with her.
course. Oh my gosh.
During totality, depending where you are in the path of totality, the GTI has a default setting to do a meridian flip. Meridian flip, unfortunately, will be happening during totality, depending on where you are in the path of totality. And I've made that comment in the past, and for some reason, someone dismissed it, and I don't know why. But please, from a professional, deactivate the default setting of the meridian flip. And what is a meridian flip if you've never used your GTI yet? What happens when you have a meridian flip, right during totality, the entire mount is going to rotate 180 degrees without much warning. So you should really add that item in the checklist. That's a failure point.
Raphael, you can see for the visual observation, I have an AVX, and I've written have the counterweight bar west of the meridian. And for me, that makes it avoid the meridian flip because it will be above level.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that mount.
Yeah.
But regardless,
yes,
whatever mount you have,
right,
regardless of how you have your counterweight set,
yes,
regardless, if you have a setting of auto meridian flip, it needs to be deactivated, especially if you're using Go-To, because this is when you use Go-To that it will be set by default.
Okay. Awesome. So sorry it was shorter than you, Dar, but I think Laura is next for checklist and packing list.
Yeah. Okay, so I am going to be I'm going to be in the middle of Texas on a ranch, and so I'll be camping with my husband and sister and her kids, and we so I'm thinking, and it's in the middle, like we're driving, so my husband's driving to Albuquerque, picking us up, and then we're driving from Albuquerque, all of us, and we need to have food because it's really in the middle of nowhere, Texas. So we're gonna have to have several days worth of food because we're there for like 4 or 5 days. So that's also on my shopping list, and as well as a bunch of water. And I also have on my shopping list a camping chair. And I also have a battery with solar cells that charges up pretty nicely, like a full battery pack, so that I can make sure my laptop is charged and that my camera batteries are charged, as everybody's talked about. We can see, Hannah, we can see your screen. You might stop sharing. There we go.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah. So I think those are the things that haven't been mentioned yet. The other thing, so some of you said you're going to take, maybe like Dara, you mentioned that you're bringing, you might take pictures of with your cell phone. So I wanted to let you all know that our colleagues with the Sun Sketcher project, their app has been finalized. And remember, I don't know if you remember if you were part of that conversation about their project, but they were part of the Megamovie in 2017 and working on the phone app at that time. So Sun Sketcher now has improved on that app, and it's also a participatory science project, which is the new term for citizen science project, by the way. And so that project is looking at the oblateness of the photo of the sun. So the sun, just like Earth, has these big sun quakes, like we have earthquakes, which kind of change the shape of the sun. So it's a ball of plasma that's very magnetic, and so that as it gets active, it changes its size and shape. So they're going to be looking at that size and shape with the photos that you take with their Sun Sketcher app. So I'm going to have that app on my phone, and I want to use it. I also am using the Globe Observer app because that is measuring temperature. What I'm not quite sure is how many apps I can have open at once. I haven't tested that yet, because the last app that I want is there's an Eclipse soundscape app, and they are taking our data. If you download the app and use it, then they will be measuring the sound around you during the eclipse. And so all of those apps, in my ideal world, I would have them all working at the same time, but I have an old phone and it may not deal with all those apps at the same time. We'll see.
Laura, really quick, I wanted to show that I put the Sun Sketcher website on the chat, and this is what it looks like if you want to download it.
Awesome.
There we go for everyone.
Great. And then Patrice, who you just met, Pat, he made this cardboard, a little cardboard
A shield.
A shade. So on one side it has the Eclipse Megamovie logo, and then on the other side it has all the information about the
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
the sequences and the apertures and the time, and where, especially where he's going to be, the duration. The partial begins at this time, the full begins at this time, maximum, full ends, partial, so that he can just have this, while it's shading him, he has all the information. So I thought that was pretty clever. I wanted to share that little idea.
I'm so glad you shared that, because I'm so going to copy that.
Exactly. And I liked what Dar said. So also, because the hour before and the hour after totality, there's a lot that couldn't be you can be there's a lot of walking around and talking to people, but you can also be teaching people about the science of the eclipses. And so in addition to like doing fun shadow stuff, there's tons of activities online, like Exploratorium. I just did a session at a conference with a woman who runs the Exploratorium feed, Eclipse feeds, and they do their kind of TV show that gets broadcast into museums around the country. And she was reminding us about all their great activities that they have on their website. So I recommend going there. And then NASA also has some really great activities for families. And so a lot of, I think our families probably aren't as into science as we might be, but they might like to do some fun things while they're waiting for the big event. So I will.
Laura, before you forget, can you put into the chat the other apps that you mentioned? I put in Sunsketcher, but you type in the other ones.
I will,
Okay,
yes.
was one, and there was another one. And then I am also going to just stress the fact that, you know, I'm going to be in a big public location, but I am not going to leave my things unattended, not even for 1 second, not even to get food, not even to run to the restroom. So when I pack up in the morning to go to the beach, I'm going to make sure I am totally set for whatever, and I am not leaving my things unattended for hell or high water until the eclipse is over. So yeah, just be aware of your surroundings, not things. Okay. Oh, Daniela has her hand up, and I do want to make sure we address some of these questions that are in the Q&A. We have a little bit over 10 minutes left of this Zoom. Daniela, do you want to go ahead and ask the question?
I typed in the question in the question and answer, but since we're approaching my 8 o'clock here, if we are near an airport, we can get the 1-minute weather by dialing the METAR station there. Would that be okay for getting you the temperature reading? Yes, no?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that should be sufficient.
Okay. Well, there is like 1 million airports on every corner in Dallas. So
There's gonna be a big difference between the temperature at the airport and the temperature where you're standing.
I understand, you know, but the temperature sensor at the airport measures the terminal area temperature, and if you're close enough, it will be a close enough measure, especially if you're using the 1-minute weather, not the hourly.
Doesn't your phone have a thermostat in it?
I mean, it will be, but it's just for redundancy purposes, you know.
Okay.
It's just a different method.
We like redundancy.
Yeah, we do.
We said that in the office hours when your redundancy has redundancies.
That's exactly right.
Feels good.
One thing we need to remember on Eclipse Day, we don't want to try to herd cats. And I'm telling you, 2017, I had 400 people in the place where I was going to be shooting, and they were my responsibility. That was a dumb idea. And you know, the little kids running around, one of them clipped the leg on my tripod and I didn't know it. So all of my shots were down here from the frame. Don't herd cats.
Hey, Sam, I'm kind of glad that my 2 kids are joining me on this trip. They did get to see the 2017. I asked them multiple times, do they want to come with mommy on this trip? They said no. And I was like, okay, fine. Now that I think about it, I am actually very, very glad that I do not have my kids running around my tripod legs at this time. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That was about as bad as 98 in Aruba when the people that run the island decided to have a fireworks show in the middle of the eclipse. That was fun.
I want to show off Eclipse soundscapes because I just downloaded it for my phone too. And I'm going to play around and see between this and Sunsketcher, and if my phone can handle both, I'm going to kind of check it out.
Hey, Spencer, for what's worth, the temperature on your phone is actually coming from the
airport.
METAR, from the nearest METAR, the nearest airport.
Yep.
Yeah, at least that.
But the hourly METAR, the hourly, not the 1 minute. The 1 minute you have to call the phone number.
Okay.
Yeah, 2017, according to one thing I saw at Nashville, they wanted to have a rock a concert during totality. And they were going to have a light show on that. I thought was incredibly stupid. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody talking
So
about checklists. My checklist is I'm gonna get most of my stuff, my incidentals when I get there, like camping chairs and a little 2-cycle generator and coolers and ice and drinks and stuff. I'm going to get all of that there. And when we get through with the Eclipse and head home, most of that stuff is going to Goodwill. Camping chairs and all.
That's what we did for the annular.
Right. Shade is also very important. So I think I'm going to go to so we're going to move away from packing here for a moment, because I do see we have a lot of questions. And I think the question of the focus, I just want, so Bishop Eric Weaver said, they have another suggestion on focusing. So maybe I want to go back to that for 1 minute, and then I'm going to go back to the questions here. So do you want to say did you already share it?
I did not.
Okay.
You have the option, if you so desire, and if you have the ability to shoot something in focus that's maybe a quarter mile, half mile away. Last year I was across a valley. I just focused on some trees that are probably 1,000 yards away. That's as good as the lens needs for 94 million miles. So that's another option. The sunspot is a great idea, but if you don't have that availability, or if that confounds your mind, just find something 500 or 1,000 yards away, focus on that, and it will also be fine.
Okay, that's a good tip. Okay, see, we have, if I'm using Nina in one of the gold standard scripts, do I need to set the local time or the universal time in the script? So no, the answer to that is no. In fact, you can just not even use the time in script. You can just make it start. But you can use this time.
You can delete that line and click manually, but if you use the start, you
need to put the local time, right?
The local time in military time, right?
Right, in 24-hour time. Yeah. Yeah, so you basically, the time that it can just be used for your own use. You don't have to use the time. You can just get it started. You can just delete that and get it started.
You can test it. You put it like a minute out, and then test that it starts. A couple minutes out. Make sure you have it right.
Yeah. And then there's a question here. Is it required that we use Nina? I will be using my laptop to capture H-alpha data with my Coronado's PST, and switching to Nina right before totality might take too much time. So I was planning on using my external intervalometer to set up the Corona image sequence. Yeah, that should be fine. So Nina's really to help those who don't know another way. So a lot of you are using other ways, which is perfectly acceptable. Do you want the brights and darks separated by exposure time? Right. So, oh, you mean in the upload? This was from Richard Patching. I'm not sure what that question is. Is Richard still here?
yes, I'm just wondering, when you're doing the upload, do you want like the brights and the darks, you separate them like at the 10th of a second versus the 20th of a second versus the 30th, and that separated out, or you're going to just take the data from the photos? And because
yeah,
the metadata will state what the exposure times are.
right.
Is that enough?
That's enough. Yeah, that's what we're
Good enough.
assuming. Yes.
Thank you.
If your metadata doesn't provide that, then please put it in the file name or make it somehow understandable. Okay, how accurate do you want temperature? Just to one degree is sufficient. This is in part for you all in case you need to go back and do darks. So it might be helpful for us ultimately, but it's also just another reminder to, to get darks at the same temperature. If you're using Solar Eclipse Maestro and a Garmin GPS. Oh, okay. So you all are also discussing, you're answering each other's questions. Great. Okay. Are there other questions that people haven't? Is the January 11th version of the Eclipse Megamovie photography guide the latest? No, not at all. I put out a new photography guide not last week, but the week before that. And it's version 2.024. And you should be able to find it on our website. I think that's the only one there now. It should be. And if it's not, we'll make sure it is the only one you can find on our website. So that's important for you all. Okay.
Laura?
Yeah.
When we're uploading, did you want us to create individual folders for darks, flats, and biases, and then drop the folder into the upload area?
Oh, that's a great question for Troy. Troy, do you understand what he's asking? Like a folder within the upload folder, or do you want it direct all the files directly into the upload folder?
I think it has to be the files. I don't think you can drag a folder. I can check with Igor to make sure, but
I saw it with, sorry for interrupting.
Hi, Troy. Igor, I'm actually here on the meeting. Yeah, it's gonna be, you'll receive 4 emails. Each one is gonna be asking for respectively lights, darks, bias, and flats. So you'll upload your files individually as files into each respective folder.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. What else are you wondering, or anything else you want to share? Anyone want to share their setup?
Pelican cases are wonderful.
There's a website called time.is. Is that accurate enough for the images?
Being a calibration and standards person, time.gov.
Time.gov is better.
Time.gov is if you are the place that has internet connectivity, time.gov is really good.
Very good. Thank you.
And let me just quit and not go on to a dissertation about the time and the cesium clock, because I will put everyone to sleep.
Yeah, we can stay a little longer for that. But I see Mike and Jen have a question. Yes.
Yeah, on those emails, we're shooting with multiple cameras. Do we use the one email that's going to come to my email address and just upload multiple times, or are we going to get separate emails?
Yeah, you'll fill out the survey multiple times, and every time you fill out the survey, you'll get another set of emails.
One survey for each camera.
The survey generates the ID for your camera, and then your email goes out to you to put that camera's data into the 4.
Okay. So if I answer it with the Nikon Z8, and then I can turn around and answer it for the Nikon D750, and then that means I'll get 2 sets of emails based on one for each camera?
Correct.
Okay.
But let me just make sure, Igor, that's my understanding. Do I have that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That actually brings up a thought of how would you know which email corresponds to which camera?
Yeah, so maybe we need to tag what camera they've written down in the email message. Is
Yeah.
that something you can program?
Yeah, that's something I can coordinate with Troy. He'll need to send a camera name to me as well in the API, and I can have that in there.
Can do.
And maybe you want to
Thank
tag
you.
the lens as well for people that are shooting the same camera multiple times on different lenses.
What?
Same body style.
Imagine I have two
Gotcha.
Canon
I know.
R6s hooked up
Yeah,
to two
I
different
do the same
telescopes, two different
body.
lenses.
We
Guys,
all
this one's the
imagined you
same.
taking off your lens and putting on another lens.
Is
Okay,
there a
good.
maximum millimeter that's acceptable? I'm shooting at 1300, 500, and 26. Is it 1300 viable?
What's your sensor size?
It's an APS. It's actually, I'm using a Takahashi FS102, which is a focal length of 820, and I'm using an 80D, which is an APS-C sensor, which brings me to right around 1300. It's like 1290 something.
Okay, so for the APS-C sensor, it needs to be 300 millimeters.
All right.
Otherwise, the field of view is going to be too narrow.
Although
Okay,
since
thank you.
since you have 3 cameras, we will take that image. We'll still take those images for other purposes if you are willing to share them.
I'm willing to share all the data that I have. I'm shooting wide angle with a Megamovie and my own personal, but I will share my personal if it's helps science.
Yeah, because then it gives us context. Other groups are also getting similar data that, outside our parameters, but it would still be helpful to have some of our own from you all.
I was able to manage to integrate the Megamovie script in with my own personal script through a USB hub through Eclipse Orchestrator. It's running both rigs off of one laptop, and it's worked flawlessly so far. Let's hope it works on the day of.
Nice. That is great.
Backyard Nikon does that without having to hook up additional stuff. It runs 2 cameras at the same time, different scripts.
Yeah, Eclipse
But I will-
Orchestrator and sorry to interrupt.
No,
I was
no.
going to say Eclipse Orchestrator and Canon EOS Utility have a conflict in my computer, so I had to uninstall Canon Utility in order for Eclipse Orchestrator to work properly.
Got it.
And thank you all. Thank you, Raphael. I see that you can you say are you able to communicate what you just put in the chat?
Yeah, sure. Yes. Yeah, the person who asked that question maybe maybe had the intention of doing that already, but in case not, if that person
Can
wants
you
to,
repeat the question just so everyone's on board? Just in case they didn't read your.
I don't remember exactly the question. This is why I was.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll read the question. The question was whether do I have to use Nina if I am, I'm trying to find it here. Oh, I can't find it either. If I'm
If
using,
they're switching faster or something. Sorry.
That person was using wanted to do H alpha observation with a PST from Coronado.
There we go.
And had trouble, wasn't sure would have time to switch the equipment.
Jordan.
Yeah, the question wasn't here on whether that person had another telescope and is gonna put the camera in that other telescope, or intended to shoot the Megamovie with the PST. If that was the intention, I just wanted to clarify that you cannot see the totality at all with the PST apart from the little prominences that will be just near the disc. You will not be able to see the corona.
Yeah, I'm the one who asked that question. I won't be shooting totality with the PST. I'll be shooting, so I'm going to be switching out the PST on my mount with the camera. And my concern was that switching out both the PST and also trying to switch over to Nina, it'll be a lot simpler just to use my intervalometer to do the sequencing rather than trying to switch over both the telescope and the camera, and also switching over to Nina for the sequencing as well.
Okay. So in that case, was your intention of with the intervalometer to use the auto exposure bracketing to scan through all the different exposures of the guide, or you haven't yet considered that?
I hadn't yet considered that, but yes, it will be, will now be in my considerations, yes.
Right. Okay, great. So this is what I was actually answering on the chat. So yeah, you will have, if you use the intervalometer, keep in mind that an intervalometer only program the same exposure to repeat. And if you want to follow the guide of the different exposures, then either you will have to manually change the exposure and then do again in intervalometer, or you use the auto exposure bracketing so that you do not have to change as many times the exposures. And I recommend the latter if you can practice, because it will give you more time to enjoy the eclipse. If you have the intervalometer and you do not consider auto exposure bracketing, and you have each time to change the exposure, you can you will not enjoy the eclipse very much.
Yeah, that's very good to consider. I think my intervalometer does different bracketing. I'll have to check that, but if not, I'll do the auto bracketing as you have suggested.
And
thank you very much for pointing that out. Yeah.
If you do, and I wanted to ask actually everyone, if you know of an intervalometer, physical, the physical device that can actually program different exposures, I would love to hear about it, because I was not able to find that kind of device anywhere. Yeah, this is actually why developers have programmed all these software to program them, but still, if you hear about an intervalometer that can program different exposures, even if it's not all the exposures in the guide, I would love to hear about it. And I'm sure every other people will love to hear about it, although it may be too late to order that from wherever it's sold.
But for future reference, that'd be a wonderful tool.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you do find one or somebody responds, please share.
Yeah, that could be something we write a blog about if we hear about that sooner than later. Jordan, you can email out to the listserv maybe. Okay, so there's a question of partial images, photographs that someone's asked me kind of in the background here. If you take any partial images, you can I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to check with Igor and Troy. So Troy and Igor, check for understanding here. So my understanding is that the partials go with the quote light frames. So light frames means any solar images, totality or otherwise.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's the answer to that. So we'll make sure in the yeah, that's clear when you get your instructions. And then the other, so Mike and Jen, you wanted to discuss more of the meridian flip because you know you're going to have a problem. So I think you'd like to kind of brainstorm that with us.
Why is our camera on? Because they're talking to us. Sorry. Okay. So he's like, why's the camera on? So we know we can turn off the meridian flip. I think it's going to be a physical problem. It's going to hit. So I'm assuming we'll just stop shooting and then have to reorient and start shooting again.
I'm afraid we're going to hit the hard stop. I just haven't had a chance to run it through the whole sequence the
Yeah.
couple of hours. Yeah.
He has a suggestion, I think, yeah, which is probably about the balance.
You the hard stop is something like 5 or 10 degrees.
Yeah, off of either side. You're right. Yes.
Which is so if my memory serves me correctly, 10 degrees is going to be 2/3 of an hour, and I can't do the math in my head, but that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we are starting at the very beginning. We are not just shooting totality.
Okay. So what you would probably want to do is like a few minutes before totality, just force the meridian to go wherever you need it to be, so it doesn't hit the stop.
Right.
Right. Because you've got about 190 minutes from C1 to C4 order of magnitude. It depends on where you were, right? And so there's plenty of room in there to find a 20-minute bracket where you can.
Yeah.
Or 40 minutes. I can't do the math in my head.
Yeah. Well, we'll be taking partials, also, and that was since we're doing the whole sequence from C1 to C4.
Right. So you just
That's
pick somewhere that's far enough away from totality where you have not yet hit the physical stop.
Exactly.
And then,
Yeah.
and then in your written checklist, you with a voice announcement saying, "Hey, dummy, flip the meridian."
Yeah.
I'm
sorry, bad language. But anyway.
Colorful. We're laughing, so you're good.
All right, everyone. We're well over time, so I want to make sure that we cover, our must-haves, which is the resources. We want to make sure everyone feels well equipped. Where to find something in case they lost their photography guide, even though they printed 3 hard copies, everything. So let us make sure we do that, and then I'll stop the recording. And then if people want to carry on and chat, that is fine.
And I think Zethi had his hand up very patiently. Poor Zethi. I thought he had his hand. I could have sworn he had his hand up.
Thank you. So I was, can you guys hear me? Just making sure. Okay, thank you. So I was wondering, I asked this in Q&A earlier. So in Nina, my live view and exposures have this green hue, and I haven't been able to figure it out. And I'm wondering if you guys have any idea on what it could be.
That sounds like a great question. Hang on, and let's cover the resources really quickly, and that way we can assist people who need to leave. And then if you can stay on, or anyone else who thinks that they can answer that question, that would be wonderful. Okay, so let's cover the resources. So Discord is going to be a big one, especially because it has voice channels. So because we have it by location, people can, if they choose, open up the voice channel, especially, as we're going live and things like that. I will probably open up the Mexico one. I just want to be sure not everyone is on Discord, of course, but, as an option, it is a wonderful resource. I wanted to point out the website again, just in case, especially for folks that are new. So let me share my screen, where if you go to Eclipse Megamovie off of .org and the resources tab up here, we have a sort function and a search function. And so you guys as stars would want to click the star box and you'll get all sorts of things all in here. But if you just wanted the guide, I just wanted to point this out, that if you just click guide, it will not show up. So you can type in guide and get it, or you can click on star and get the guide. So just, before you travel, maybe explore on here, and especially our frequently asked questions, especially if you're new. We had so many discussion points of so much of the minutia of this program, project all in here, that this is a great thing to review before a question comes up, right? Read it for enjoyment. Read it tonight for bedtime reading. It is fantastic. We have so much expertise on here that I want to make sure. Look how long this is. This is incredible. And after today, we're going to put, even more on here. So I wanted to point that out, and then I will officially close the recording. And then whoever would like to stay on and ask any last questions. We were supposed to do a celebratory beverage. I don't know if anyone else has a celebratory beverage. I forgot to bring mine. I have my own copy. I guess I could do that. But let me stop sharing really quick. Sorry, I'm unable to handle this right now. Okay, so stop sharing. All right, everyone, before we sign off, if you want to undo your video, show your video just for a quick second, just so we can see everybody. And if someone on the staff wants to take a screenshot, that'd be awesome. Hannah, could you do it? Okay, where's everyone? Ooh, okay. Oh, it's so fun to see everyone's faces. Yay. Okay, here we go. All right, screenshot. Hannah, are you doing it?
All right. 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to get the other side because there's 2 menus. Yeah, one more. All right, we're done.
Okay, I'm stopping record. You guys go ahead and keep talking.
Cheers to everybody. All the best and clear skies.
Clear skies to everyone.